let's dive in today and explore this very important topic of how to never give up, and also how to give up absolutely everything. As you're going to see that these two actually work together in the inner realms of our psyche, of our inspiration, motivation, our determination. In all of those intangible realms, we have seemingly the choice to give up or to really stick our course, really pull through no matter what the distractions or temptations around us are. So before the end of this video, my goal is that you walk away with some level of understanding and also some level of mastery of how to and when to employ each of these mechanisms, each of these abilities within ourselves that we have actually full access to, even though sometimes it may seem that these choices are not available, and we'll explore that too. So let's take a look first about how to never give up. When you have chosen a goal, when you've chosen a vision, when a vision, to be more accurate, has knocked at the door of your consciousness and you felt into it and you said, wow, this is what I'm destined to be. This, just even thinking of it, is bringing me this joy and fulfillment, and I can't wait to fully release myself into it. This vision, or whatever goals that you've chosen that lead you up to this ultimate fulfillment of your purpose or destiny or mission, vision, whatever we want to call it, is essentially that thing where when you're doing it, you are in full expression of your capacities. You just feel like you're in the flow and you're really just spilling out all of the goodness that's in you, whether that vision is teaching or coaching or creating, certain woodworks, certain works of art, certain works of pottery, or whatever the skill may be, or maybe it's just applicable directly to your business and directly to the bottom line. When you think about raising your company to this new standard, this new level, your just whole being vibrates and you fill up with energy. So whatever that is, there's going to be along the way so many temptations to not do what you know you must do in order to reach that level. These temptations are going to come from your friends, from your colleagues. They're going to come from television programs. They're going to come from different teachings and teachers. And they may even come from people who are very, very close to you. Maybe your own wife, your own soulmate, your own husband, whoever that may be. None of these are to blame, because essentially that mechanism of temptation, that mechanism of wanting to stray from the path, those little tests that we get along the way, they're only a projection of our own indecisiveness or of our own ambiguity, of our own inability to fully commit and fully say yes. When we do have that capacity in us, rather we always have the capacity, when we do activate that capacity of full commitment, these temptations almost lose their power entirely. For example, in the past, when I first started on this path, I've had a lot of my friends who were still partying and drinking, and to me, even though it's this something new was starting to be born in me, to me that still held an appeal. So I was still very interested and still very tempted. And so when there would be a party, I would be like, oh, yeah, I guess I'd like to go and be with my friends. And never doubt this, is that your mind will rationalize any decision that you make to make it seem like it's perfect and perfectly aligned and all is well. So you have to, in a way, call on something higher within yourself in order to be able to really recognize that when you're spinning your own BS. Because everything in your world will confirm that that BS is actually perfect, good, and has, 2 thumbs up. So in the beginning, when I was feeling these temptations, it was very difficult sometimes to say, okay, no, I'm going to do this instead. I'm going to focus on my goals. I'm going to focus on my vision. But what I noticed is 2 things, actually. One is that in order to stay the course, when you fully haven't truly committed, when you haven't activated that level of like, yes, this is mine, and I know without a doubt that this is what I was born for. This is what I'm meant to do right now. When that level of certainty is absent, to stay the course requires a lot of energy. We call that energy willpower. So that energy of the will, and for now we're using this level of will, which is really based on our ego in a way. It's the level of will that still implies there's a separate me and there's a world outside which I need to navigate and negotiate. So to stay the course in that point, to never give up, is exhausting. It may not feel physically exhausting at first, but it's going to exhaust your mental and psychic capacities. Our psychic energy is just the energy that we use to think and to analyze and to really have a full engagement with the world around us. That energy is going to dissipate and be drained by our constant wanting to avoid these temptations. So it's a way that's certainly honorable, and you can say, yes, okay, I'm going to do it no matter what, and I'm going to try and push everything else aside, but it's a way that's not sustainable. Eventually you're going to crash, either in your health, or you're just going to give up and you're going to go binge the other way. But what happens when this natural fruition starts to take place, when this natural ripeness starts to come alive in us, what happens is that these temptations actually naturally fall away. I'll bring you another example is in the field of nutrition and selecting diet. In the beginning, I also got very, very excited when I started learning about vegetarianism, when I started learning about animals, and just started gaining a certain understanding about what was happening in the food industry. I started feeling like, oh, I shouldn't eat it. And there I made a mind level decision where I said, I'm not going to eat meat anymore. And for about 6 months, I was denying myself meat. And what was happening during those 6 months is I would get very, very frustrated. Like I would be envious of the people that were eating it, and I would be very judgmental about them. And so what was happening, was it to really to benefit? No, it wasn't, because I was using a lot of my willpower to try and stay away from something that my body and my just the momentum of this being still craved, because I was raised up in this way to, this is the main staple of any meal, right? Some kind of meat, right? So to be able to change course from that was very difficult. And eventually I actually got sick and I felt very tired all the time, and it wasn't working out being vegetarian at all. So I said, okay, I give up. And here's, we're getting a sneak preview of that giving up. Giving up and surrendering. It's like, okay, you know what? I am this way. I tried, but it looks like at this point I'm a meat eater. But you have to really be very conscious in this area. This level of giving up, it's not a permanent thing where you say, oh, okay, I'm just this way. That's complacency and apathy. We're talking about noticing the grain, the direction of the grain in your being, and instead of trying to fight it and go against the stream, go against the grain, we, in a way, start to move with it and direct it from within the movement and flow itself. Almost like when you're paddling down the stream, you're not exerting yourself very much, but you are able to guide the boat, the canoe, or whatever vessel you're in, very gently and with minimal effort by just using your paddles as you're going down the stream. Same thing is going to happen in this level of giving up. So at first I noticed it wasn't working out, and I said, okay, I give up. And I took a seat within this being, within this body-mind construct, and I allowed it to do whatever it felt it must do. And as I allowed that, with this level of awareness and consciousness, I maybe continued eating meat for a couple of months, for a few months hence. And then I was eating something that was my favorite thing to eat, which is raw sushi, which is like that sashimi, the salmon sashimi is my favorite. And as I was putting it in my mouth, I started chewing it. And it wasn't that first bite. It was maybe, halfway through dinner. As I was chewing it, all of a sudden, it just hit me. All of a sudden, my body rejected it. It almost felt like I couldn't even swallow it. And from that day forward, I had zero desire for meat. Just zero. It doesn't tempt me. It doesn't play any, in any way to my psyche. There's no taste craving, there's no experience craving, it just disappears. And so this is a good place to transition to the giving up, to giving up everything. So in a way, we can use giving up towards temptations, and we can also really notice and assess when we are struggling so hard to try and make something some way, we can also take a rest and give up inside. So let's take a look at the first way. So let's say you're super tempted to just go out with your buddies and just drink and have fun tonight, but you know that you've set the schedule for yourself to accomplish a certain number of tasks so that you can take your business to that next level. And you're saying, oh, well, I'll do it the next day, you know, and so this rationalization comes in. So at that point, you have a choice to completely give up everything. Give up your attachment to any of the sensory experiences, any thoughts, any of the possible pathways that you can take from this moment forward. And the way that you do that is you just simply breathe and you take your hands off of the steering wheel of life, off of the decisions, and you just rest. You rest by noticing your own being. You rest by just coming back to the I am before an engagement with any of the world experiences. And as you do that, you're going to notice a certain space, a certain relaxation starts to happen. From there, you once again examine your motives, examine what it is that you want to do, and there you can very consciously, without being tugged at by all of these desires, examine them one by one and see what happens when you release them. Let's see what happens when you bring to mind this experience of going out with your friends, having beers, having fun, and see what happens if you just dissolve that, if you allow that to fall. Almost as if you're holding up a vase, and in this moment, you release it, and the vase falls to the ground, hits the ground, shatters, and it's gone. So try to hold up this certain desire, which you know is going against the grain of your vision. This is the only place that I would advise that you do this, is when you feel that this is what I'm here for. This is truly mine. This is my passion, my aliveness. This is my life. And so as you hold this vase up, in contrast to this vision that you hold of your life, and you release it, and you allow that desire to fall, to shatter, to dissipate, you just feel within yourself, okay, if I let that go, am I still okay? Am I willing to connect and recommit to my vision? And here you just, again, check in. What is it that I really, truly, truly, truly want? And you'll see, if it's really true for you that what you're meant to do is you're meant to go out with your buddies and drink, that desire is still going to come up, even if you did this exercise, even if you dropped the vase. But if you are meant to stay in line with your vision, if you're meant to not give up, to never give up on that path within your life, then what you're going to notice is maybe some sense of loss for not going out, but you're going to notice that it congeals back into, I know that this is what I need to do, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. It's okay. I'm willing to pay the price of not going out this one night in exchange for living the life of my dreams. Okay, I hope this has been helpful to you. It's always amazing to share this time and to share this journey. God bless.